went over there to give a blessing, and we received, what y'all at?
The awful pictures that are.
Oh, the
Wait,
pictures.
go back. Let him see.
Yeah,
Yeah, look at the top right.
yeah, John was knocked out. That's us pushing the car in the heat. Anyway, we had a great time. I went over there to give a blessing, and anybody that's ever been on a mission trip, I didn't understand what they were saying, but I received way more of a blessing than what I gave. First night we was there, we went to worship night. The Lord worked through Jeremy and Savannah.
Hillary.
Hillary. Yes, and Hillary. I'm sorry, I forgot. Didn't mean to leave Hillary out. But they worshiped so openly, freely, and pure. They opened their heart up and gave everything they had to God. All you have to do is light a match. God poured the gas on it, and they sucked it all up. It was amazing to see God working through us and through them. They would, while we have the luxury of Jeremy putting together our songs, whenever they went to go into their service, one person out of the crowd would start a song in cadence, and he would sing like the first verse. He or she would sing the first verse, then the whole congregation would jump in with like the chorus, and on and on and on. And then when that song was done, of course I didn't know what they were saying, but it was beautiful. The next person would start the next song, and they would just sing and get up and dance, and just everything in their heart was going to God. And like I said, I thought I was going there to teach them. They taught me a lot more than what I could have taught them. It was amazing. Worship night. I wish it never would have ended, but it did, and we went on and had more wonderful days. So I'll let somebody else talk about the next day.
I feel like there was something missing.
Something missing?
So,
No, you're not going to show that
George
video.
didn't tell you, their energy grid has issues, so they do load shedding every couple of days, and the load shedding hit right at the time of our worship night that was scheduled. So we had a generator running that was enough for a projector and a sound system, and I had my cell phone with a flashlight facing down. I could look.
Try once in the microphone.
Oh, sorry, Troy.
Oh.
I could see really well the left side of my page, but not the right side. But I'm going to show, let's see, I think that's Hillary and I preparing. That's Trevor talking to the group right there. And I think we have a video, and it's very dark, but you can still hear the voices coming through the dark.
Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. The moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
This was mixed
I love you.
from children to elderly. This was like an open church, anybody and everybody that wanted to come. And it was almost like when they started singing, when we first got there, it was just a handful of people. But they go through and they open the windows because that's the only air they have. But the more they sing, it was almost like a calling card. The more they sing, yes, and people started piling in. The more they sang, and they added on, and it got to be a pretty large crowd after a while. And Jonah,
Yeah.
give Jonah, people was walking on the streets, walking by while we was praising. And Jonah's heart, he wanted to go out there and stop the folks on the street. Hey, y'all come on in. One guy told Jonah, he said, I don't think it'd be good for me to come in. I've been drinking. Jonah said, well, this is the place you need to be, brother. Come on in. So,
Eventually, the lights came back on, and we got done with our worship set and shared a word and testimony and offered an invitation, and then we just kind of had a fun party. They did a lot they were more coordinated than we were. And then George had a response. All right, so that's our first full night there. Throughout the entire trip, one of the focuses was the Maruta Christian School, and Savannah's going to talk about that.
I know that what you see there is just a lot of silliness, right? But one of the coolest things I think for all of us to witness is the way they worship. They sing and they dance, and it is just so full of joy. And it's hard to describe. Do you have the video of the kids? That's kind of, oh no. You let me down?
Ran out of time.
Hold on.
Oh no.
Sorry. She's going rogue. Yes, she is. If my phone dies, it'll just be a sign that I didn't need to do it. But okay, y'all won't be able to see it, but I need you to hear this. Okay, I'm getting in trouble for that one, but that is Maruta. That is their children. And I got to steal some words from Hillary because I really want us, Trevor really challenged us to focus on the way God moved while we were there and the work God is doing there. And then there's that, yep. But I want you to know that Maruta Christian School, you walk in and you can feel the favor of God on that place. And it is a special place in that community. In and around Mokopane, there are not, Christianity is not unheard of there, especially in this region. But people who follow Jesus with their whole hearts, that is not as easy to find. And these kids get to be at Maruta Christian School. It's a private school from grade R, which is similar to kindergarten, up to grade 7, so 7th grade for us. And in this place, they are filled with the Word of God. They are day in and day out worshiping, and just the Spirit is very present there. And I know the first time I got to go, and I'm so thankful that I got to go again, but I want you to know that you go there and you think, okay, we're bringing something there. We're bringing it. God is already there, and He is already at work there. And we are blessed because when we come, maybe it's something different for them on occasion, and they get excited, and maybe we share something that surprises them, and it breaks through a wall, but it is not us, and it is so God. And We were able to see 2 salvations at Maruda Christian School, and it was not because of work we did. It's because of the Holy Spirit drawing these children unto himself and using these teachers at Maruda Christian School day in and day out. And we get to come and just be a part of the work of God. And it is something really special. They start their day with music and chapel, and we got to do that. We basically get to go in and teach lessons like about their teeth and about their hair and about their health and how to rescue people from choking and CPR. But most of what we do is love on them, and we play, and we do a lot of crafts. And this year, to kind of build on the year before, Tiffany and I, because we got to go back, and we got the chance to really have some heart-to-heart discussions and lessons with our 5th, 6th, and 7th graders. And the world they're about to walk into when they leave Maruda Christian School is very different, and it's way less protected. And y'all just pray for these kids. Pray for them and their teachers, and that as they leave this place, because a lot of them will leave after year 7, and most of them will go to public schools. But the world is a very different place for them than this favored place here. But we get the chance to help fill them up with Christ so that when they leave, they are so full, hopefully, that Satan cannot pull them away. And he is after them in a very real and a very present way. So I just want you to know, yes, we had so much fun, and it was such a silly, blessed time. But there are 97 children at Maruda Christian School. They are each children that bear the image of God. And they are each children that Jesus came to die for and to save. And just help us pray for them. And thank you for helping us love on them. So thank y'all.
All right, my turn. I'm going to be talking about the farm ministry. This is a ministry of my friend Comfort's. It started out as IMD ministry, but they have since kind of gone away from it. And Comfort, even though he's involved with IMD, he had a farmer come out to him and ask him if he would continue to come. So it's a pretty cool thing to go and see. They are, it's one farm, but it's a couple different sites. And it's a chicken farm. So they work really hard all day long. There's not a lot of cover out there, but this building you see here, they're all the chickens. There's like 2 million in each house or something crazy like that. But they have like this little, it's basically like just a roof with like some bricks around it. And that's where they have church. So they sit around the outside wall, well, the inside walls, the walls like that on like just a little bench. And they just kind of crowd in. And when we started that day, I think it was Wednesday, when we started there was about, I don't know, maybe 35, 40 of them. And then as I started speaking, kind of truck we just said it was like a trailer truck kind of deal. It had like a back, like a wagon truck. Oh, was it on a wagon? Oh. So it was like a wagon came up with about 40 more of them. And, you know, they had been working all day long, looked like they had just got off, but they wanted to be there. The other cool part about it is Comfort has to translate, and then his wife, Phyllis, translated for some of the ladies that spoke. So just a really cool environment. They worship, too. They started off by somebody in the group just starts singing, and then they all stand up and they start singing, and just like Maruda, just like the public schools and everywhere else we go, it's just like a joyful worship. I mean, they're in this, like, building with just a roof over it. There are no windows. You know, the front's totally open. It's hot. And they're just smiling and worshiping. So it's just really a humbling experience just to watch them worship and, you know, watch how joyful they are just to sing to God. Kind of put some things into perspective for me anyway. But anyways, then I get to share, and a couple more of us shared. with them, and Comfort and Phyllis are translating. And to me, that's always like so powerful that they came that day knowing we were going to be there, and they packed it out. But I think it's even more special that they came knowing they wouldn't be able to understand us. Does that make sense? Like, they're dedicated to coming even though they know, hey, we're not going to understand whoever speaks today. We're going to have to hear an interpreter, somebody translate what they're saying. But I can see them, like, even though they don't understand, they're really, like, listening when I'm speaking. And to me, that's just, like, amazing because I can't even get my kids to listen when I'm speaking, and we speak the same language, So just a really cool experience. Like I said, seeing them come in, most of them, when we get there, they're working. And then, as it gets closer to time to have it, they're piling in the building, like, just straight from work. And so it's really amazing. We got to go around and kind of say hello to each of them, shake their hands, give them hugs. But then I'm trying to think who all shared. I know I shared, and Tiffany and Jonah and George. It doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is after we all shared, they came up and they were like hugging us and like thanking us for being there. So it's really special just to be a part of that. But I agree, like Savannah said, Comfort is already doing an amazing job. He's there every Wednesday sharing the gospel with them. And they always have questions. That's another part. Am I going over my time? They always have questions. So a little bit more last time because I think we went a little over time this time, but they were asking questions. They want to know. They want to learn. They want to become closer to God. And, it's a lot of the questions, that's humbling too because they're questions that we get from our kids. But they're just, they want to know God, but they're just kind of immature to who God is and what he can do for them. And there's so many people in their area that are speaking prosperity and speaking like all these things about ancestral magic and whatever it might be. So there's a lot of confusion over there, but these people are really seeking out God, and they're just full of joy. So I was blessed to be a part of it. I love going to the farm ministry. I think that's about it. Cat. That's my Nigerian whatever cat. Yeah. Who's next?
All right, so we got to go to this area called the Land. Matt and Daniel try and know the Land very well. It's a kind of like a youth recreation area, and this is a worship center, and you can see those concrete headers there. Matt and Tri and Daniel and Trevor and I watched last year, boxed up. I'm going to say it wrong. They built boxes and put what was the new thing for y'all? A ring beam, yeah. Rebar with wire around it, best I could tell, and ran it through there, and then a guy came and mixed concrete up by hand and poured it in there. So I got to go and see a roof put on that after we left. Guys from Kentucky came, so I got to see and take pictures and report back to them. I was proud to show them that. We had a little bit of a job, not quite like they did. Number one, because we had a roof over our heads the whole time, so that was a plus. They needed us to. He kept saying do drywall work, and there was no drywall work. There was no drywall.
There was no wall.
There was no wall. They had an office building, and he wanted us to frame up a couple of rooms for office space, and then he had, I guess it was like press board, wasn't it? That he wanted us to put on there. So we spent a couple days doing that, and that's definitely out of my comfort zone. Those of y'all that saw me do the minimal things I could do out at the Family Life Center know I'm not gifted there. George and Trevor kind of took the lead, and Jonah and I kind of helped and tried not to mess it up too bad. They're drilling holes there to put the walls in. They didn't have one of those. What's it called? Is it one of those boom big things? Mr. Danny, what's it called? Anchor gun. They didn't have those. So we bent the bit pretty good on that.
Their concrete's made out of something we don't have over here.
Yeah, they've got super concrete.
Chris was like, yeah, we use like 3 bags of sand, 3 bags of concrete. It was like,
We went through so
it was
many
like
bids.
10 times thick concrete, and we're like, oh, okay, that's
It's bad stuff. So we were able to do that, and you can see a little bit of the finished product there, or close to it. We were able to get it done. We had just the right amount of materials. None of it was new. It was all scrap from somewhere, and we were able to put it together. And I had the bright idea. He wanted the door in the center of each one, and I said, well, Kuss, we could move it over a little bit, get a little of a breeze going through, have that whole wall for them to have to use, and if you're carrying something in that there was open space, he said, that sounds great. So we did it. The lady who was going to be in that office was in there the next day, and I was bragging to her, oh, it was my idea to move that door, and she's like, okay, that's great. And I walk out, and somebody said, she wanted that door in the center. So
She wanted to see who was coming in.
she wanted to see who was coming in. The security was a little more important to her than a breeze, evidently. We were also able to put up a really nice sign that they had, and that was more difficult than you would think because of the wind. It was a very windy day. So the big thing about being able to do that was it was something that Kuss didn't have to take care of, something we could go and take off of his back and check off for him, so that he could focus on where he really feels called to go to other countries to teach leadership, and it will save them money. They're renting space in the city right now for office space. They'll be able to move people here. So it was a blessing to be able to do that. It was definitely a blessing to have a roof over our heads while we were doing it, and that was construction at the land. Oh, that's a sawhorse.
That sounds, yeah.
That's Trevor's ladder.
Let's take guesses on how long it lasts.
Not very long.
Yeah, I didn't show a picture of after on that sawhorse. It didn't.
Matt's sitting there looking at it like, oh.
We did what Kuss told us to do.
We didn't break Kuss this time.
All right, start my timer. Awesome. Just give me a go. All right. Well, first off, I just want to thank everybody who gave towards this. I definitely wouldn't be able to go without some very generous people giving to allow us to go, and just I want y'all to know that y'all also helped just as equally by making an impact in Africa. And so my place I'm supposed to be talking about is the Center of Hope. So we went there on Friday? Friday? Was it Friday? I think it was Friday. Friday afternoon. I was at the land Thursday. I did not go after the land.
So it was Friday.
It was Friday. So, I don't know if the mic's on, but so we went Friday. The Center of Hope is this really cool place. It is where people with disabilities are. And we were going in with the intention to be able to minister to the staff there. Also, Miss Savannah, did y'all teach CPR there? CPR training. Very, very awesome. Also, to be able to bring the staff a bunch of food. You should have seen me in Comfort trying to carry this, I don't know, it felt like a 50-pound bag of grain. Thing was massive. I tried to get it by myself. I thought I was strong. I was not strong. And so maybe two of me's. Yeah, that thing was really big. And so whenever we first got there, nobody really kind of knew what we were doing. They didn't get to go the year before. But I definitely didn't know that it was going to be what touched me the most. And so whenever we got there, we got to go in this little outdoor courtyard area kind of between these two buildings where the guys live. I think the guys lived on the right side and the girls lived on the left. And all the residents there were just sitting outside. They were just chilling, and they just see us come in. First off, you can kind of tell somebody's looks. There was some of them were just kind of looking at us like, why are you here? In which it was very, I know it had good intentions, but it kind of discouraged me a little bit at first. But after getting to know them for a little bit, first off, I'd like to say none of them could speak English. I could not understand about 0 words that they could say. But to begin with, worship's been about every other place. One person, one of them, which surprised me most of all, one of the residents started singing a praise to God, and they all joined in together. It was so awesome. It was amazing, because I don't mean this to be mean, but I just didn't know that some of them could talk or really understand. And it was so awesome to see everybody there praising God. And it really showed me that there is no wall, no disability, no nothing that God can't go over and God can't get to somebody. And so if these people are able to understand God and able to praise him, then anybody can. And it was so amazing. And then so we were all supposed to be going with the staff to be able to minister and teach CPR. But I was allowed to stay and hang out with all the kids for the whole time. It was very, very awesome. I think what spoke out to me the most, I couldn't really say much. What was the language that they spoke there? What was the Sapeti. I couldn't speak any Sapeti. I knew about 3 words. I got one of the ladies to help me say, Jesus loves you. And I told about every single kid that, and all of their faces lit up. It was,
GA's learned it tonight.
the GAs learned it. Ava, you know it?
You're not
Well, I don't remember it, if that tells you how good my memory is. I just know Jesu something. Jesu Lorato Wayna. Jesu Lorato Wayna. I had it back then, and it was really, really cool. I got to say it to every single kid, and their faces lit up. It was so awesome seeing that these kids not only could understand my terrible Sapeti, but also they could understand that Jesus loves them, and they have an understanding of God and how much he loves us. And that was so awesome, and just seeing all the smiles on their face. So the kid on the left, as I told you, I couldn't understand anything they're saying. I feel so bad. I do not know a single one of those kids' names. But the kid on the left, he was so awesome. He sat right next to me the whole time. If I'd stand up and go talk to somebody else, he was following me the whole time. He decided to start wearing his hat backwards because I had mine on backwards, which I thought was really, really cool. And so that's my little buddy. I really wish I knew his name. But he had one of the biggest smiles I've ever seen. It was so awesome. And I think that they can understand like the love that we were all bringing. That we weren't just some strangers there for no reason, that they were there to bring them the love. But also to show them, and I hope that they know that there is no difference between me and them, because we all serve and love the same God. And so that really spoke out to me. And then we were able to be able to bring a bunch of food to all the workers there, because those workers sacrifice a lot. They have to live there, they're in their families, and it's very hard. But you can just see the love that they put in. The residents know who Jesus is. And I'm sure that has to do with the workers. And so that is just absolutely awesome. And just for us to be able to just bring a small blessing of just some food and seeing how priceless like their reactions are and their faces were, it really meant it all, because I feel like we just take for granted just something so little as food, but like these people loved it so much. And so I remember I told Nancy after that next time I go, I want to spend a whole day there. Like, I don't know if that's possible, but I just love that place so much. It was just so awesome. And I need to learn some more Sapeti so I can understand names and understand what people are saying. And so now we have public schools. Jennifer is going to talk to y'all about the public schools.
Yeah, I'm coming. I get it twice.
Very funny. So George and I, and with Trevor and Savannah, we got to go to the public schools, and me and Savannah being in like medical and dental, that opened up the door for us to be able to come in, because they weren't going to let us in with just telling about God, right? So we had to use something to get in there, and we did. So we just went in and talked with the kids. We had to have a translator, because I don't believe they really knew that much, little bit of English.
They start learning English in grade 3. So.
In the public schools they do? Okay. So we just kind of went over a little bit of dental with the younger kids, and then George and Trevor came in. Oh, so sorry. George and Trevor and the rest of them came in and was able to, just tell them a little bit about Jesus and plant a seed for them to kind of get to know how that goes. And George, are you in that picture?
Yeah, I'm doing CPR.
No.
Yeah. But you the one on the left?
That's George and Kyle.
No,
Yeah.
the one on the top left.
Yeah, that's me.
George
Up there
is-
being surrounded.
Sitting down on the ground and just being surrounded and loved on by these little kids who just thought his gray hair was awesome. It was, yeah, the cowboy.
You know, they told us that we was going to, me and Jennifer was going to talk about public schools, and whoever knows me knows I'm not a man of few words. I could pretty much, as Jennifer says, I could talk to a wall. But when I thought about what I was going to talk about with the public schools, I couldn't think of anything. Nothing was good enough to put it into words. Them kids, and I got to thinking more and more about it, how pure and how innocent they was, and they had nothing. And they were so open to learn about Jesus, and I got to thinking, and I'm talking to myself as this, our hearts are filled with a lot of material things. We think about the next car we're going to get, the next new pair of shoes we're going to get, the next
iPhone.
PlayStation,
Whatever.
iPhone. That fills up a lot of our heart. These kids, they have food, they have water, they have clothes, but they don't have the choices that we have. When I went over there, I was thinking when I first got there, man, I feel sorry for these kids. When I left, I was jealous. The good Lord has blessed the United States, is what I thought to begin with. I don't know if we're not cursed now, because our hearts are filled with so many material things. A lot of times we don't have room to worship God, to think about God. When we go at night, we wonder what we're going to eat for supper. We're going to eat meatloaf, we're going to eat lasagna, we're going to eat steaks. They're probably eating the same thing every night, just enough what they could get. They don't have time to worry about what they're going to eat. So they have a lot more room in their heart to worship God, to think about God. A lot more time than we do worrying about what size tires we're going to buy, what hunting rifle am I going to get, what purse I'm going to buy. If you're done, to finish,
Yes.
God has blessed us. Let's don't turn our blessing into a curse.
I want to say one thing. Jennifer was checking their teeth, and we started out, she had her flashlight, her little tongue, what's it called?
Depressor.
And we started out, we were like, okay, raise your hand if your teeth hurt. And I felt like this is what touched Miss Jennifer so much, and hopefully I don't make her cry in front of y'all. But a few of them raised their hands, so we started checking their teeth, she did, and then we quickly realized we needed to check all their teeth because the ones with the worst teeth weren't even raising their hand. We'd ask them if they were in pain, and they'd just smile and just say no. So that's the type of culture we're dealing with. They don't understand. Let me back up. Their pain is so much more than our pain and suffering, but they don't even realize it. And that touched our heart so much at the schools because we're looking at these kids' teeth and they're like, rotting out of their head and they have all these cavities and they just look awful, and we're asking them if they're in pain and they're not even raising their hand, they're just smiling at us. So, and they can understand this. They knew what we were saying. It's just they don't consider what we consider to be painful. So
That first picture, when we first got there, we were standing in the parking lot, and all these kids was walking around, and they was looking at you, and they was wondering, why you here? What are you doing? You could tell they wanted to talk to you, but they was a little standoffish. All you had to do was smile or wave, and that opened up the gate. They was coming after you then. In that picture, I was on my knees, surrounded by 40, 50, and they was rubbing this gray hair and rubbing this gray beard, and I was squalling like a 2-year-old baby.
and we were walked to the classrooms by about 100 of them holding our hands.
They wouldn't let go of us. They was just as happy as could be, and I think I had a blowout on my trailer yesterday, and I was upset. I don't have anything to be upset about. But that's what touched me the most. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all for helping us with toothpaste and toothbrushes for those kids too. They were so excited to get those items and to have those.
Yes, Jeremy kind of already touched on the land, but this is just a picture right here of what the land looks like. The land is just a beautiful place. It's really hard to put into words and describe just how beautiful the land is. But these are some pictures of our fun day. So several of us got together and planned some events and some games for the youth. It was mainly youth. Some of the students from Maruta also were able to attend. But we had, at first, we thought we were going to have, we planned for probably 40 or 50, I would say, originally. But 10 or 15 showed up, and we thought we might have a smaller crowd than what we anticipated. And then within the hour, I mean, we had over 100 youth here at the land. So we played a lot of games with them. We played kickball. We introduced them to dodgeball. We did some fun relay type races and games with the kids. I think all of us were wet by the end of the day. They had a lot of fun soaking us with water. But the land, I just want to talk about just the imagery of the land for a minute. It just is such a beautiful picture of God's creation, and it's just a place of refuge for these kids. They come from their broken homes, and they come here just to hear about Jesus, and sometimes to get away from their homes, which is not so safe sometimes. But we planned originally to have 2 leaders that would speak to these kids. And Nancy came up to me and she said, we just have so many here, we're going to need more of y'all to speak today. So 4 of us broke into groups, and at lunchtime they divided and they came to our groups, and some of us shared our testimonies with these kids, and some of us shared devotions, or just the word that God laid on our heart that day to share. There was lots of questions from these kids. Trevor's group had a ton of questions about leadership and what that meant for the young men, and they're just really attentive. The kids there, they soak up every minute they have with you to hear the word and to hear about Jesus. They're just amazing. They listen so well. But I wanted to share a special moment that I had at the land. It started raining. It does not rain very much in South Africa. And so it started, just a huge storm came through. It was raining. It was hailing. We were under the building. That has no walls.
It does have a roof, thanks to y'all.
Yes. So we were all under there, and it was just go with me here for a minute to this imagery. But we were standing there, and in this corner over here, there was a group of girls, and that we had karaoke. So they were singing karaoke. I'm talking worship music at the top of their lungs over here. And then we had a group over here that was dancing and praising. We had a group over here that was playing kickball, soccer, kicking it back and forth under this pavilion. The rain was blowing. The sun was shining still. It was coming over the mountaintops. And this probably touched me the most out of the whole trip. I'm going to try not to cry. But I just closed my eyes for 1 second, and all I could hear was the worship and the laughing and the happiness and the joy. And I turned to Trevor, he was beside me, and I said, this is what heaven is like. This is this is what I just imagine it to be in heaven. It was just such a moment. And that is what I know heaven will be like. Just joy and no pain. And that's my biggest takeaway. Some of these kids go through so much. There was a breakthrough that we had with a little girl at Maruta. Hopefully she will get the attention and the help that she needs. But she was able to open up and share about some things that are going on at home with us. So that was also just an answered prayer for the week. But I just want to say that it is nothing but joy, 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 joy. Everybody's talking about it, but it is real. Everybody loves God with all their heart. They look forward to worship. They have hearts of gratitude. And so that's what touched me the most. And that's what I hope that I can come back and be, is just a vessel for him and to share his love and joy, just like they did with us. So thank y'all for sending us.
Okay, so as you guys heard, we got to see and experience some really incredible things, and we got to see God move in ways that I didn't expect. I didn't know what to expect coming into this, but when we were having the conversation on one of the last nights that we were there about tonight, actually, and sharing with you guys what moved us, changed us, the ways that we had seen God work. And the first thing that came to mind, even though Maruta was incredible, those kids are amazing, the land, I mean, there's just no words for a lot of it. But the way that I saw God move in Chris and Jenny and just the leadership there at IMD is just, it's unbelievable. And a lot of the things that we talked about tonight and shared with you in the pictures that you saw, it's not possible without them. And not to toot their horn, they would, say this, but it is just, it all just points to God, and it's incredible what He can do just with our obedience. And they just live their whole lives in complete surrender to the Lord, and just to make Him known. And it was just incredible to step into their lives. So we just shared, this is just 10 days of our experience, but this is their life, and this is what they do day in and day out. Just share the love of Christ with these people. And Mokopane, South Africa, it's a dark place, just like a lot of places are. Wherever there are people, there's darkness and sin. But as a few of them mentioned, just everywhere, Maruta, their home, IMD, the land, it is just has the Lord's blessing and favor all over it. And you can just feel the difference when you step into Maruta, into the land, into their home. They are just so hospitable. They are in full-time ministry. This is their life. And I've known people, not anybody here, but I've known people in full-time ministry, and they can be kind of serious and rigid and, stiff. Not anybody here. But they just are so silly and joyful, and it is just contagious. Jenny is so hospitable. She made at least 2 meals, homemade meals for us every day, cleaned our clothes, drove us all over the place. Kuss led us in devotion each and every morning. And on one of the nights we were there, it was the youth night, which I'm actually supposed to talk about that too, but haven't gotten there yet. We went to a church. Was there load shedding that night while we were there? Or maybe for part of it? So we went to this church, and when we pulled up to it, I didn't know it was a church. It was just like a metal building, dirt floor for part of it. But they showed up, and they were ready to worship and listen to us talk. It's just wild. But Kuss, a few of us shared our testimony, and Kuss got up to bring the message, and he gave probably one of the best sermons that I think I've ever heard before, completely off the cuff. He just went up there with his Bible and shared the word for over an hour, and it felt like no time had gone by. Yes, and a little bit of Galatians. It was just incredible. They say that you can tell what we love by what we talk about. We talk about what we love, and that man, he loves the Lord, and so does Jenny, and it was just such a blessing to me. My faith has been challenged like it never has before, but not from a place of condemnation or guilt. It is just, I'm full of joy, and what I saw and what I witnessed and it's challenged me in just the best way possible. And so I urge you to be in prayer. If you have an inkling or desire to maybe go in the future, I urge you to be in prayer over that, and it will change your life. And I think that's all I have. So.
All right, so something that our group felt burdened about to talk about was, and everybody's hit on it a little bit, about how we fill our lives with things that we don't really need, and how we make things about ourselves, not about God. We want to be really intentional about making things about God. And one small thing that we're going to challenge our Sunday night crew, you know, we're family here, is to be in prayer about finding a time, being prepared to share testimony on Sunday night. We're going to try to set aside 5-10 minutes a night if somebody feels the Holy Spirit pushing them. We're not going to do it tonight. Ready for it next week. If somebody feels the Holy Spirit pressing, urging, pulling you to share something about what God has done in your life that week or that month or that day, we want you to be ready to do it and able to do it. And we've got one song we're just going to do real short. It's called Make Room, and everyone talked about, like George, you didn't know we were doing Make Room, and you talked about it. So let's just do a verse and a chorus. Let's stand, and then we'll sing, and then we'll go.
Hey, should we, I don't know if they know, if you know the song really well, you could always do it like a child at Maruda. Tiffany, how the kids at Maruda praise? Eyes closed, hands up, because they come to draw from him, and it is not about anybody else. So if you know the song, you don't have to be looking at it.